Avoid the too much cash trap. Is my money just sitting there losing value?
Welcome back, everybody, to the CD Financial Podcast. CD Financial, where health meets wealth. I'm Mark C., your host. That man across from me, as always, is Chuck D. Chuck, my man, you're looking good today. What is going on, brother?
Oh, I got a new shirt, maybe. I've worn it before, but I dig it, right? It matches the banner, it matches the ocean. Um, I've dedicated floral shirts to my uniform now. Not just one shirt. I've seen some guys that do podcasts, they just use the same shirt over and over again. But I'm going to stick to it. If I ever break rank, notify me. Hey, that's not a floral shirt.
All right. Does it have that new shirt smell?
It used to. It's not that new. Let me see. A little bit still.
It's like the new car smell. Does it last? Do you go back for that?
New car smell is like plastics.
Yeah, it's a degradation of plastic, so it's good for you.
Yeah. No, it's not. We talk about where health meets.
By the way, not our health tip today. Our health tip is not sniffing new cars. No.
No.
That is
no,
not.
I actually hate getting a new car. We got that brand new Rivian, and I was like, oh man, I like buying demos where the dealer has used it for 4 or 5 months because it off gases the plastics and all that synthetics. Yeah. I actually that's what I prefer to get from any time I buy a new car. I'd much rather get a demo. They don't have those as much anymore. What you can get is you can get the loaner cars that they put into service. Oftentimes those work. Yeah.
I will say this. I like the new car smell for about 10 seconds when you first hop in a car, right? Like it tells you it's new, but I'd love for it to go after that. I don't need that hanging around.
The funny thing is I used to like that smell, but I'm just, too sensitive now that I've gotten older. This is when I was a young man. I worked with new cars. I work with car dealers in my former career.
That's right.
It was fun. It was fun, but like anything else, there's always worry when you're self-employed, isn't there?
Yeah.
If there happen to be any small business owners that tune into this. Yeah.
You know. So we're going to talk about something interesting today. Too much cash. That's what we started off with, right? That's what you said. Is the cash just sitting around losing value? And okay, so right off the bat, what does that mean? Because are we talking inflation? How are we losing value on cash just sitting around?
That's it, big boy. Inflation, right? If you're earning 1%, 2%, let's say your money's shrinking slowly. What do we liken inflation to before, Marcus? I had an illustration about it. Oh yeah, it's like smoking. You may not. It may not affect you the first couple of years, but 5 to 7 years in, it might kill you, right?
It could,
that's what inflation's like. It's a slow killer.
Yeah.
So let's say you're making 4%. I mean, wow, I'm making 4% interest, right?
Sounds good.
It sounds great. But if you're giving up 25% in taxes, you're only making 3%. 4% and you give up 25% in taxes, you're only making 3%. You just lost 1 quarter.
Yep.
What did you say? You're making 21%.
I went the other way with the math. You did the right way.
Okay, God,
it's late. It gets late early out here, and my mind with math goes.
He's a smart man. I may not be a smart man, but I know what love is. He's a loving man. I can tell you that. He's a very kind.
I'm street smart. It means I know what street I live on.
Okay, so you're getting 4%, but if you're getting taxed, so you're not, right? Here in Cali, it's horrible. If you're at 22% federal, which is easily done, right? And then most people are sitting there, sometimes 24%, and you're 9% state, which it's brutal here, right? Yeah, I know, because you're tax free, but everybody complains to me that they own rental properties in Texas and they don't make any money. The first 5 months goes to, so it's a give and take, right? But here, let's go.
That's how the state makes their money.
All right, so 22% federal tax bracket and 9% state in this, whatever. I'm not going to call it godforsaken, but let's So 0.69 times 4. If you made 4%, you're only bringing home 2.76. So you gave up the rest of your interest. So it's either meager results,
Mm-hmm.
which inflation's killing you, or results. You could say, you could argue 3.5% might be pacing inflation, but then when taxes chop it down, you might be netting closer to the low twos. And so either way, you are at a disadvantage. But
All right.
I'm going
So
to tell you, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, no, I was just going to ask. So what do we do? How do we get around that?
Yeah, and you're not the only one asking that question, Marcus,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of folks that we meet with here at the team, and they wonder the same thing. About 3 weeks ago, we met with a family that are now working with us, and
Mm-hmm.
they didn't know what else to do
Mm.
with their money, and because they didn't know what else to do, where to put it, they were just saving it for lack of anything else or any direction, true direction. I
Yeah.
would say this too, though. This is really important. What I'm about to say. What do you want the savings to accomplish?
Yeah.
You're stacking money in your bank account. What do you want it to do?
So what do you see? I mean, what's the typical response? Because in my head, it would make sense that people do that because it's easy, right? I don't have to think about it. I just stick it in one spot. It's low investment mentally, right? I'm not.
Yes.
It seems foolproof and it's just easy. I think that's why we do it.
Yes, I would say that, and I would add something else in there. There's a factor of the unknown or fear. Even
Mm,
the unknown is you don't know what to do,
right.
and the fear is if I put it in the market, I could lose it.
You could lose it, right?
Yeah, but typically you're not going to lose all of it, and even if it goes down, it will likely recover depending on what you're purchasing. I need to be clear. You might get individual stock and you could lose, but you might get a basket or an index fund,
Hmm.
and then especially like the S&P 500, and your chances of losing that are slim to nil,
Okay.
right? You just have to hold on for the ride because the market doesn't go up like this. It goes up like this,
Right.
ziggy zag as it goes. Yeah. And so, what do I see? Let's go back to the question. What do I see? Like,
Yep.
um, people will say, "I want my money." When I ask them, "What do you want it to do?" They'll say, "I want it to grow," but it's in the bank. It doesn't usually grow that good. Oh, and let me say this: you don't meet a whole lot of millionaires that got rich because they got rich
Really.
off of savings accounts.
Yeah. I don't know of
Yeah,
any right off the top of my head. I mean,
yeah, but you do meet plenty of people that got wealthy when they were putting their money to work in the stock market. Now,
yeah.
that's not to say that this is the solution for your savings. It could be for a portion of your savings, right? But let's talk
Right.
about that. They'll say, "I want it to grow." Some will say, you may be thinking to yourself right now as you're listening, "I want it to grow but not lose." I hear both of these answers a lot. I hear grow with no loss a
Right.
lot. I hear people say, "I want it to be my rainy day emergency money." I
Mm,
hear that a lot. I hear folks, you'll say to me, "I want to remodel our home. We want to update the kitchen, or we need to update the bathroom. We did one of them already, but we know we need to do that. I want to pay for our trips every year." That's why that money's accumulating.
right.
Sometimes it's going way beyond your cost of your trips, right? Did we
Well,
already say did we already just say rainy day emergency money?
you did. You start out with rainy day. I think that's what most
Okay,
people
good.
have that
Um,
for.
okay, good. You might say to me, and this is one you might not be thinking that you hear, but I hear people tell me this. "I want to help my kids out with the down payment on a house. It's their first home. We need to help them out. Things are expensive now. We want to help our kids out." And I think that's admirable.
Yeah.
"I want to pay for future long term care expenses." That's
That's a
care
big
for a long time when you get older. I
one. Yep.
hear I hear that. And I think that's very astute of you to say that.
Yes.
You're projecting the future and you say, look, I'm trying to cover all my bases. And
Mhm.
these are some ideas, okay? Um, I want to buy a rental property. I hear that. So these are things, right? Yesterday, I just heard that. I want to buy a rental property. We already own several rental properties. We want to buy another one. Unless, Charles, you can convince us otherwise. And I'll say, I'm not here to convince you. I'm here to help you make a plan.
Right.
And that's what I said. But then they said, well, we want income. Let's go backwards here. You buy a
Okay.
rental property, there's
Yep.
all sorts of let's say landmines with buying a rental property.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll point a few out real quick because
Oh,
doing
go
tax
ahead.
preparation with people who have rental properties here in Texas, right? We just discussed the high state tax on property.
Yes.
A lot of the pitfalls that people don't foresee are maintenance issues like ACs going on. Your AC goes out. That's a lot of money right out of your pocket. And then just wear and tear, roofs, paint, flooring, lawn maintenance. There's a lot that goes into that people don't. People just think, oh, they move in, they pay rent, rent money goes in my pocket. Not so fast, my friend. Doesn't usually work that way.
Well, and uh, you can get renters that aren't reliable, right?
That's the
Um,
other thing. Yeah.
and then you do have taxes and insurance to add to it.
Oh, and insurance. Yeah, I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, but so that's one of those pieces. But let's talk about how your money was getting chopped in a bank account,
Mm-hmm.
right? From taxes, right? You have to pay taxes every year on that interest in a bank account or even a CD. So this is where tax deferral might be beneficial.
Okay. Now we've discussed deferring taxes. A good idea or bad idea? Sometimes I get the feeling you don't think it's a good idea.
But in this case, it might be a fine idea.
Okay. Explain.
Okay, I explained to you because you're going to keep your interest every year and compound it if you're deferring taxes.
Okay.
There's some ways you can do that. You can, if you bought an individual stock, I'm not telling you to do this, folks, but if you bought an individual stock, you can hold it. Once you hold it past 1 year exactly, 365 days, if you sold it, it'd be taxed not as ordinary income, but as long term capital gains.
Right.
And here's something else I'm going to tell you. If you buy a mutual fund, it shows you short term capital gains all the time. And so at the end of the year, you're going to be paying ordinary income on that mutual fund that you were holding. So if you want it to be more beneficial, but you don't want the risk of a individual stock where you can lose your shirt, then you could buy an ETF. It's an index fund that works much like a stock in that you can hold it and you don't have to pay these short term capital gains only when you sell it. So
Okay.
there's one thing. Oh, and if you want it to be inherited by your family members, especially your kids,
Right.
um, then they would inherit it at what's called a step up cost basis. Just to confuse you some more, okay? Step up cost basis means when you die and it goes to the next generation, they inherit it at the value upon your death, the date of your
Right.
death. And so they don't have to pay taxes on that. Of course, there's a limit to how much you can inherit, right? The estate tax limits. But if you want it for tax efficiency, sometimes you need to know what to invest in. Real estate, if you hold it for a year or longer, you have the same long term capital gain.
Right.
But the interest there, you don't know what you're going to make. Same thing with the stock market. You don't know if it's going to go up or down this year, right?
Yep.
You don't know, but when it goes up, you can actually keep the interest and stacks upon or the growth, let's say in the ETF. With real estate, yeah, the appreciation, it'll stack up on itself. And there's some tax advantages to buying property. We've talked about the disadvantages, heavy taxes in some states on property. Yeah, so we talked about that. But with buying a like an index fund, at least you can control if you buy the appropriate fund, and I can't tell you what that is for you. You could oftentimes control when you're going to pay capital gains, and instead of making it something that's taxable whenever, like a mutual fund, you could control that.
Right. So you're deferring that payment till later, right? Till you pull
Yes.
it out. And I will tell you this. I'll add something to the real estate thing that sometimes people don't understand. The real estate market, depending on where you're at, can be just as wacky as is trying to guess stocks. We saw here, just as an example, here in this area, you know, during COVID, everybody was moving to Texas. We saw all the zip codes in the Austin area go up over $100,000 in value within a couple of months. Well,
Wow.
guess is what's happened in the last couple of years. You've had this regression to means, right? Like all those things return to what would normally be or a reasonable price or reasonable value for this area. So now I think we're back to having people upside down on mortgages because they were coming down here and buying these houses. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh
real
boy.
estate can be crazy too.
Yes, it can be. We see that here in California too, Southern California especially, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Don't forget the value of tax-free growth with tax-free compounding interest. If you're still working, if you have earned wages, and let's say your spouse is not working, but if you're working, your spouse could fund this too in a spousal Roth. You could always put in, if you're age 50 or older, $8,000 a year as we record into a
Yep.
private Roth. You might even find that you're not max funding your 401k or TSP, and you can access Roth at work. So you can increase the amount you put there instead of stacking up all this money in the bank account.
Right.
Because every dollar into a Roth, whether it's Roth TSP, Roth 401k, or Roth IRA, is
Yep.
a blessed dollar. It's awesome because it grows tax free the rest of your life. You can
Yep.
pull it out tax free. You can Your spouse, your wife, your husband will inherit tax free. Your kids will inherit the money tax free. It's all tax free, folks.
Yeah. And one thing, because I want you to reiterate this, we've discussed it on another podcast. Uh, when is it too late to start that Roth?
It's never too late to start the Roth.
Okay.
Okay, never too late. Was that a trick question? I don't think so.
No,
No.
it was an easy question because I wanted repeated because I think in our heads sometimes we get it that it's like, oh, I should have started this a while back. Now it's too late.
I'm 72. It's too late. No, it isn't.
Yeah.
If you're still working, let me point out, if you're still working, and this week I've talked to several people that are still working and
Yeah.
they're in their 70s and they enjoy what they're doing. And one gentleman was 77, and yeah, his wife was 76. They're doing this right now. We've got them doing this. They're on that track, opening up Ross and funding them because they have the money sitting around. Well, why
Right.
not funnel some of that money there? It just makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of why I wanted you to repeat that because I know we've
Thank
discussed it
you.
in other spots, but it's very important because a lot of people want to be working. You know, you might be semi-retired, right? We've discussed working part-time and so forth, but if you continue working, you can continue investing, you can continue saving, right? In a good way that benefits you or maybe your kids.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want you to maybe you could get money into Roth. Maybe you can just do an annuity creates tax deferral. So you compound interest on there. There is no step up cost basis when you pass away. Um, for those who are worried about long term care, there's this method of dropping a lump sum one time payment in and
Mm-hmm.
multiplying it potentially for long term care in the future. So there's all sorts of solutions. And there's all sorts of, I'm sure when you hear this, there's just more questions.
Right.
Each of these could be the solutions I'm talked about could be a podcast individually on their own,
Yeah.
right? And what to invest in again inside of the Roth is also a question. And that's for sure based on your personal goals and decisions. So that wouldn't be something that we would give advice on in this setting and format. But there's a lot of ways you can do that. And I'm more so often, let me say this, so often I am asked that question in my team,
Mm-hmm.
Charles, we're just saving because we don't need the money, but we don't know where to point it. Help us,
Right.
right? Others, they have a pretty good idea, but they still say, what do you think? And then I say, what do you want to accomplish? And then we look at your income plan, and holistically, we can then figure out with the wheel right behind my left shoulder there, we can figure out what it is that you want to do, where you want to go. And then we come up with a fine solution for that money that's just building up cash and it's not really making much, certainly not outpacing inflation.
Yeah. And that's a good idea. I think we should put a pin in those the ideas. I think those would be some good topics for future podcasts to deep dive. Again, not making recommendations, but at least showing some of the pros and cons of what you can expect from some of those different options.
Okay, so we talked about avoiding the too much cash trap. Is my money just sitting there losing value?
Right.
Get yourself a plan, reach out to somebody, and by all means, make sure they do tax planning. They
Yes.
should be bringing it up. If you bring the subject up, that's not good. They should be the ones bringing it up. If you don't work with us, work with somebody. To work with us, just text us
Yep.
your name, your first and last name, and your email. What's the
Nine
number, Marcus?
949 5100 949 359 5100. I
There
was
you
getting
go.
ready. I was waiting for you to set it up so I could spike it. Well done.
Okay,
Well,
what's our health tip for today?
health tip. You ready for this? I want everybody to think about this. Be boring. Be boring. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that.
You
Um,
better.
because this is what happens a lot. And being a male, you're a male. You know this typical male behavior, right? We have a few weeks off of training, whatever it is we do, exercise, and then we want to go out and do it all at once. I haven't jogged in 3 years, and I want to go out for the first time and run 5 miles. And what happens is I pull a hammy, and then I'm back on the couch for another 3 weeks, just recovering from that. The point of saying be boring is be consistent. Consistency often is boring, even in investments. You have the same thing, right? Not everything is fun and exciting. Sometimes it's just getting up every day and doing it. You walk every morning, right? Yeah, that.
And this week was challenging.
Yeah,
2 different mornings, I thought I don't want to walk this morning, but I
yeah.
did. This morning I did anyway. I said go out there, and I ended up not just walking but ocean swimming too. So there's that.
Yeah, but it's those habits. It's that everyday consistency, that boring routine that often nets the long term results that you really want. It's not the exciting every single day, right? Not every day is running a marathon, but if you go out there and you're consistent with it, you're going to see benefits. I do remember years ago working with a trainer, and he told me, he says, those workouts that you get in when you don't want to be there, when you just kind of go to the gym and you feel like you're just going through the motions, he said those are the ones that count the most, because
Wow.
that's where you get the real progress. So be boring, be consistent. Just do yeah, you can vary some things, but just be consistent. Oftentimes consistency is boring, but it gets you good results.
Yes, I agree. I knew
Yeah.
I had a sort of like a life coach from Dallas
Mm-hmm.
back years ago. Just here and there where I took training from him. Gary Kinder, he passed away in 23, and I
Mm-hmm.
remember him telling me and telling the whole room. He said, do you think I want to get up and run a mile every day? He goes, no, I don't even like running. He goes, I do it because it keeps me young and it keeps me active and going.
Yeah,
And so I actually enjoy walking, but some mornings
I do
I
too.
don't feel like it. I don't care. I'm going to go. The one thing I was able to skip today because I was walking on the beach and I walked with my swim trunks intentionally. So I would
Yeah,
go for a 5 minute swim. And I skipped the push ups because I didn't feel like I needed them if I was going to be swimming too. So I gave myself a little break.
all right.
Yeah. So anyway, I like the tip. Be
Yeah,
boring. For
be
men
boring.
and women both,
Yep,
consistency is the key.
is
It
the
might
key.
seem boring, but it keeps you going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And pay attention to that cash. Like we always say, get someone on your side that's going to help you out. You don't want just sitting around doing nothing. let's
that's
let's
right.
find a plan for that. Let's
Let's
make
get it
something
doing something. Okay,
happen.
folks. Thanks
All
for
right.
tuning in today.
Love it, everybody. Take care. We look forward to talking to you soon. It's been the CD Financial Podcast, CD Financial, where health meets wealth. Thank you for your time.